Back to you.
All right, thanks, Griffin. Just really quickly, on that note about the Coleman County storms, look at this. This is our Barron tracker. So this is tracking some of those wind speeds, potentially up towards 100 miles per hour towards Sulphur Springs and about 100 miles per hour as it enters into Damascus, and hailstones anywhere upwards of about 1/2 of an inch. Not overly impressive. It's the wind speeds I've been so taken aback by. So I'm telling you, we need to really do our part to just stay safe tonight. You know, one benefit of the whole shelter in place for the state is that we're all inside. I don't have to tell you to go very far, and I don't have to really tell you not to go out because you're not really doing that anyways. So hopefully this is helping us do our part in keeping everyone safe. As a meteorologist, my favorite place for you to be during severe weather is inside. So this just kind of confirms that. Actually, the tornado warning down in Tuscaloosa County has expired, so they have taken that off. So now it's a severe thunderstorm warning pretty much for all of Jefferson County. It's 2 different warnings. They were issued at different times. So again, don't let the lines necessarily, they don't really mean anything as they intersect right there and they bisect the county. Basically, the entire county is under a severe thunderstorm warning. Walker County, eastern Tuscaloosa, all of Jefferson up through Blount, and Coleman County still has a tornado warning with it. Let me zoom into this over in Coleman County right now, where we could be dealing with a little bit of rotation. It does look like there's maybe a little bounded weak echo region there noticing on our chart, and that's exactly where this area of rotation would be. So this is where we would see some circulation and some rotation, so near Brushy Pond, and then heading up towards Loretto, Good Hope, Dodge City. And keep in mind, this storm system has the ability to produce winds in about 100 miles per hour. So a very dangerous situation here. If you're inside, I promise you'll be fine, but just stay inside. Please just stay inside. This is not an opportunity to go out and chase these storms. We want to make sure that you stay safe here, okay? So looking, I do want to see what our severe wind looks like. So here's where our severe winds are right now, basically from Logan, curving through Brushy Pond, taking a turn near Damascus, heading just to the west of Black Bottom there, and then down towards Arkadelphia and just ending north of Red Hill. So that's where our severe winds are. As we look at our severe winds, they are going to be pushing towards Dodge City from Damascus up towards Coleman, and we are seeing that right along I-65. So anywhere along I-65 right now from basically Black Bottom to Coleman, get in your safe place. This is going to be a howling wind event. Even if you're not going to be experiencing a tornado directly or that area of rotation right over your house, you're going to get the effects of some very strong winds. So that's going to be a very important part of this. Look at this. This rotation is actually amped up. Notice the curvature right there. You've got the reds kind of nosing their way into the green. You've got the green nosing its way back into the red. This is kind of a classic couplet there. And so this is something that we're watching for as far as this development goes. I do want to see what some of the gate-to-gate shear is. So we're looking at Brushy Pond there at 61 miles per hour, and then Dodge City, take those 2 numbers. That's about 120 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. Looking at the wind speeds right now, basically, I want to tell you towards Bremen, Brushy Pond, Dodge City, Loretto, Good Hope, this storm is coming right over you. If you live in Huntsville, North Walter, Holly Pond, or Garden City, get to your safe place as well. These storms are going to be moving very quickly at about 50 miles per hour, and it's very important that you act swiftly in these situations. We don't want to give you information that scares you. We want to equip you with enough tools in your toolbox to make sure that you make the best decisions for you and your family. Safety is paramount right now, and making sure that if you feel like you are maybe in a structure that isn't safe and you need to get to a shelter, give yourself ample time to do that. All right, here we go. Continuing to track these storms off to the northeast. What I want to do right now, I'll zoom out of this picture very quickly, simply because I want to put a track on this. It's moving at about 50 miles per hour, and I want to make sure that we give enough of our communities in the path of this storm time to get to a safe place. So as we track this storm off to the east, here's some cities that will be impacted. So Good Hope, this city is on top of you right now. Then you have Carroll Acres in about 7 minutes, Berlin about 12 minutes, North Walter 13, Walter in 14 minutes, Holly Pond and New Hope in about 18 minutes. Baileytown, you're at about the 16-minute mark there. These are all communities that will be in the path of this potential tornado. Not seeing really any confirmation just yet, but did you just see the Homewood Tower cam? Yeah, lightning show outside right now, and this is actually not far from where our station is. We're hearing some faint rumbles of thunder, but it is sure a light show outside. And I'm not talking about the light show at Vulcan. I'm talking about Mother Nature putting on a light show in the sky tonight with all of that lightning that we're seeing there. Again, so kind of updating you on this tornado warning there in Coleman County. This is where we're really focusing a lot of our attention right now because of that area of rotation lining up from Hanceville basically through Good Hope up to Coleman, and this is going to be tracking due east, Berlin, Simcoe, Baileytown. You all need to get into your safe place, Holly Pond and Walter. Anybody in that path needs to get to their safe spot right now. We're actually starting to see this couplet intensify just a little bit as it nears Good Hope and Hanceville. So if you live in Good Hope or Hanceville, I want to make sure that you're getting to your safe place right now. I will take off our towns because I want to zoom in here very quickly, really because I want to get kind of a street level view of where these storms are. Let me zoom into this picture. Oh, look at all of that lightning there in our Homewood Tower cam as we look towards Vulcan. Wow, that is incredibly impressive. Okay, so here we go. So Misty Harbor, Dodge City, Loretto, be in your safe place right now. This is moving over Interstate 65. This storm is going to cross over 65, impact Center Community. It's going to be moving up towards Johnson's Crossing, and then this storm system passes over Hanceville. Garden City, get to your safe place. Riverside, get to your safe place. And then continuing on. And even though Gum Springs, Blountsville, you're all in the severe thunderstorm warning, I would still seek shelter. I would go ahead and make plans as if this tornado warning could be extended and to include your city. So for right now, the most important piece of this is just to really focus on your safety. It doesn't really matter where this storm moves to because you just need to be safe. Just wait till it passes and we can figure out if you got affected by straight line winds, by winds that were rotating, by a tornado, or just by some heavy rainfall. But let's let the storm get out of there first. Let's just focus on your family and your safety right now. All right, so again, looking at our velocity product there, that's where we're seeing a lot of that. So otherwise, it's just a lot of rain. It's really hard to decipher on the radar, but one thing that I have noticed in this last scan is that we are beginning to see a very well-defined notch on the back side here. So that would be our inflow, and that's where we're seeing this V notch, and then that's where you start to see that rotation. So that rotation is what we pick up with our velocity. So notice it's the exact lineup. So that's how we can use our reflectivity to point towards signs of rotation. Then we can use our velocity to confirm that rotation, and that's where that couplet exists right now. A little science lesson for you. And this actually became a little bit tighter here. So when the red and the green begin to mix, that rotation is strengthening. When you have a little bit more gray intruding between the reds and the greens, it may be broadening out. But now we're beginning to see a mixing of the red and the green. So with that green pixel in there, I can see why they're extending this tornado warning. Right now, it's likely that there is a tornado on the ground. I don't think that we've had any confirmation so far of that tornado on the ground. But again, we're looking at it. I'll check here very quickly. But for right now,
as of right now, I think they're still calling it radar indicated.
Okay.
At this point, yeah, that's for Coleman and now Morgan County, which is in the Huntsville television market. That's still in effect until 9:15 p.m. But on if there is some good news, I mean, it's that the length of the warning, the duration of the warning has not gotten any longer. So, I mean, there's certainly enough evidence there to suggest maybe there's There's definitely rotation. It's still just kind of uncertain whether or not this thing is on the ground, though. But regardless, you got to take the storm seriously because the winds in that thing look pretty strong. You see 42 over 59 miles per hour. When you add those two together, that's close to 100-mile-per-hour winds that could be within that area of rotation. And again, that's going to be just to the north of Highway 69. It looks like that's, is that I-65 right there as well?
Yep.
Okay, that's I-65, and yep, that's going to be passing
right
just south of Coleman, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. So Coleman, so great point, Griffin. So I can zoom out here and get a little bit better vantage point as far as that storm goes, kind of where Coleman is, because I think it's a good, people know where Coleman is, so it kind of set the stage geographically. So let me pull that up right here. So there's Good Hope. So north of Good Hope is Coleman. So this storm system is passing over Good Hope right now, heading towards Johnson's Crossing, and likelihood. So that's Highway 31. It kind of parallels I-65. It broadens out just a little bit towards Garden City. But basically, if you live anywhere on Highway 31 from Garden City to Johnson's Crossing, including the city of Huntsville, I would go ahead and get to that safe place right now. Even the city of Bolt, you may want to consider getting to your safe place immediately. Again, you're in the warning polygon. If you're inside the warning box, it's a good idea to make sure you heed these warnings with this storm. A lot of lightning with these storms too. We can see that in our Birmingham tower cam. Again, just that lightning show that we've been talking about. So tracking these areas of rotation. And I do want to very quickly, we're going to move from that Coleman County storm down towards Jefferson County because the storms beginning to move into Jefferson County are really howling. They're packing a punch, producing a significant amount of lightning. And here's what that lightning looks like on our lightning tracker. And what we're seeing with a lot of this is that sometimes lightning can help tell a story for us. And what story that tells is there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere. It's very excited, and that energy can sometimes indicate that there may be the production of some rotation or a tornado is trying to form. So sometimes when we see a lot of this lightning, we definitely get lightning when we have a tornado, but it doesn't always mean that just because we have lightning we'll get a tornado. But this was the same system that did have rotation back in Tuscaloosa, and as we've seen in the last few scans, some of these storms, they may broaden out, we lose the tornado warning, we lose the tornado, but then it re-intensifies. So one thing that I want to look at, because I'm noticing on our radar right here, there's a little swirl in the atmosphere as it approaches Hueytown right now. So if
from that angle as well. We've certainly got some really strong winds coming through Jefferson County right now. Coming up on Hueytown, soon to be Fairfield. We've got the water park is down that way as well, just to the north of Bessemer is where that core of the strongest winds are. So it's going to be affecting a lot of people. We don't have a tornado warning in progress, but this severe thunderstorm warning is affecting a really large chunk of the Birmingham metropolitan area for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that, Griffin. And so this severe wind has really expanded. Now we're starting to see that again moving into North Highlands. It just passed through Mud Creek. So Mud Creek is just right behind me there in Ezra. So that storm just howled through Hopkins. Now it's going to be advancing towards Brighton, Midfield, Fairfield, all the way to Bessemer. You got the Bessemer Highway, Academy Drive there. This is going to be moving into the Lipscomb community over towards Glen Hills and then down towards Flint Hill. This is going to be crossing over that 2059 corridor and then finally emerging near 459 soon. So just be mindful of the direction of this. So here's where this wind is. Also keep in mind, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. It's not a tornado warning, but not far beyond that, we're starting to look at Homewood, Birmingham, Mountain Brook, Vestavia Hills, all the way down to Hoover. So all of those big cities in our viewing area, we need to make sure that you're just playing it safe. This is a good idea just to keep it indoors. I mean, not that I have to tell you that, right? You're already there. But just let's continue practicing that. Sometimes weather gives us the temptation to run to a window to look out when we need to be focused on running inward, not outward in a storm. So I only kind of reiterate that point there. We are starting to see some pockets of wind speeds picking up towards Dolomite, and just outside of Ishkuda, and then over towards Beverly Station. So I would say that there's a lot of wind in this. The storm system's really beginning to pack a bit of a punch here for us as we track this particular storm system. We are looking at pretty strong winds. I want to put our velocity product back on here really quickly, and we can get a little bit better idea. Look at the winds right here. Even though this is not a well-defined area of rotation, what this is showing me right now is that there is very strong winds along the leading edge of this little storm system here. So let's kind of pick up on some of the winds. So 40, 50 mile per hour winds, that's decent, you know, that's going to be some very decent wind speed. We could even be looking upwards of maybe 40 or even 50 or 60 mile per hour winds as this storm howls into Birmingham. It's going to be moving very fast as well. These storms are moving at about 50 miles per hour. So I just wanted to touch on that storm in Jefferson County simply because I know it's moving into the most populated parts of our viewing area at this moment. All right, let's go back up to Coleman because I want to touch on this storm just a bit longer because that rotation up there was very impressive. So again, this is our Coleman County storm. Notice right now it's moved through Johnson's Crossing and moved just to the north of Huntsville. Looks like the rotation has broadened out just a little bit. We're not seeing that rotation quite as distinctly as we were in the last few scans, but there's definitely some rotation there. It's just a bit more broad. So let me zoom in here and show you what I'm talking about. So see where that bright green is? Well, we can measure that, and we can measure these wind speeds here. Look at that, 73 miles per hour. You've got 43 miles per hour. So you're looking at about 120 mile per hour winds potentially as this storm races through. This is still a huge wind event up in Coleman County. It's now going to get pretty windy in the city of Coleman, where the intense part is just slightly south of Coleman, outside of Good Hope right there. This is now pushing east of I-65. This continues moving towards North Walter, and then Holly Pond on into Blue Springs and Riverside. And what makes me believe it's becoming a bit more of a straight line wind event or only has some minimal rotation is it's moving in more of a straight line now. Sometimes when we've had some rotation earlier in the evening, these storms begin to curve a little bit to the right. We call them right movers, and that's another sign that there's a tornado on the ground. So for this particular storm, for me, I think it is looking a little bit like a big old wind event. But again, with each scan, we get some of these features that are characteristic of rotation and a tornado. So this storm system now is from basically Berlin to Holly Pond, and so this is going to be just south of County Road 278 or Highway 278. So Highway 278 basically connects Coleman all the way to Double Springs into Hamilton. It's that corridor that runs in the northern fringe of our viewing area and kind of bisects the counties up there. So it moves through Coleman County. So East Point sits on Highway 278. So does Berlin over towards Holly Pond. And then from Holly Pond, you have Highway 91 or State Route 91. So make sure if you live on State Route 91, anywhere from Huntsville all the way to Holly Pond, go ahead and get to your safe place. That includes the city of North Walter as well as Welty. If you live anywhere along County Road 730, make sure to get to your safe place. And also County Road 278, that's going to run you out of North Walter all the way up just to the east of Berlin. And the lightning on the Birmingham Tower Cam is tremendously impressive right now. I continue just seeing it kind of light up there on the side of your screen. So we'll continue keeping that camera up. We get a good perspective of what that looks like. All right, let's look at our debris tracker. I don't see anything entirely indicative of the storm other than there is a little spot near Johnson's Crossing that we will be keeping an eye on. So there could be a small little area that we see right there. But let's go back to our velocity product. And this is where we're actually starting to see this rotation intensify just a little bit. So keep in mind with this rotation, this is moving to the east right now. Let's see. So winds have actually subsided slightly with this particular storm system, and but now that the greens and reds are touching, we're eliminating a little bit of that gray in between the red and the green. That is going to indicate a greater possibility of some rotation. This storm has definitely taken more of a direct easterly route than lifting much to the north, so you kind of dodged a bullet in the city of Coleman. Now the storm is really just due east of you, and as we move this map over just a bit towards the west, I want to open it up a little bit more towards Holly Pond, because we are going to track the severe thunderstorm warning, kind of revisiting the entire map here. Let's go ahead back to our reflectivity. All right, here's what we're looking at. Severe thunderstorm warning now for Blount County, including the city of Aniana. It looks like they have trimmed the severe thunderstorm warning for the southernmost part of Jefferson County. So as we look at this, let's just take a quick peek at that. Yeah, it looks like the southern edge there, Bessemer, it's done for you, but the cities of Hueytown, Fairfield, Mulga, all the way to downtown Birmingham, you're included in the severe thunderstorm warning, and that includes Gardendale up towards Warrior. These are some cities I feel like I'm repeating again today. They already had one tornado warning earlier today. Now we're talking the severe thunderstorm warning for this second round of storms that we're seeing right now. Marching right up I-65, we have that tornado warning. The backside's been trimmed, so basically Good Hope, you're clear from this now. Huntsville, you're going to be cleared from this at this point. South Vinemont, you're clear. It's everything east of South Vinemont, east of Coleman, and east of Good Hope. As we look at this particular system right here, one thing I am noticing is it does look like there is a little bit of an inflow notch right here. That could be feeding the system. It's developing all of this lightning that we're seeing right here too. When we see that increased lightning, when we're looking at rotation, that is another sign that this storm is beginning to lift and grow. And actually, we can kind of show you that on the map really quick. Let me slice through this map for you. So we have a 3D option where we can actually see what's going on. Well, this actually just got a little bit more impressive. So let's zoom back in here real quick before we start slicing through anything. All right, so here's where that rotation sits right now. Again, we have moved just to the east of East Point, and now the storm system is moving in the eastern half of Coleman County. It's east of I-65 at this point, okay? And that's where the biggest threat is going to be, near Welty, Berlin. This is Highway 278. So anywhere from Berlin to Holly Pond along Highway 278, I would recommend going ahead and getting to your safe place. Seek shelter, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Wear the helmet, wear the shoes, make sure that you're protecting your head. That's the most important part of your body to protect. You want to protect the eyeballs, the ears, the brain. You do that by wearing helmet and protecting you with blankets and pillows. So grab those essentials. Hopefully you already had those, and all you had to do is grab and go. So making sure that, again, if you're in any of these locations, it does not look like, well, actually it does look like they've extended that, but that's just, they've extended it to our north just a bit. However, it may be kind of veering to the east ever so slightly. I would be curious to see if they will extend this a bit more to the east. But right now that area of rotation is broadening out just a little bit. So one thing that I want to check back on, so we have this feature, again, it's our Barron button there that we can actually take a look at what's going on kind of inside the storm. And this is where we would likely see really strong winds. So look at near Welty. Again, that's close to 100-mile-per-hour winds just outside of Berlin, over 80 miles per hour. Pleasant View up to Gold Ridge, 70-mile-per-hour winds. And then the areas dotted with purple, probably getting some pea-sized or maybe even some dime-sized hailstones out of that system. So yeah, we definitely are looking at a unique situation here up in Coleman County. It's going to be a very windy night, as well as the potential for some tornadoes there as we track this storm. Lots of rainfall. That is the big story for us tonight. And again, those severe thunderstorm warnings now beginning to move into Birmingham. And a lot of lightning. Again, we're tracking that on our screen right now. We're seeing intense lightning with this particular system. Right now, we'll send it back to the Weather Center. Griffin, you want to give us an update on some of the storms moving through Jefferson?